I'd like to thank you all for your presence here today and to be part of this virtual vineyard tour, which is a format actually we are doing for the first time, especially developed to bring you guys together with producers, right, to inform on novelties, amazing cavas now that are available on the market. So I'd like to thank you not only our invitees, which are now representing a great group of outlets, right, in the United States, as you just presented, but also Alta, Juve and Vilarnau for being an active part of this tour today. So my name is Patricia, as Katie mentioned. I'm a communications director of Cava since 2019. And it is really a pleasure to be with you all today. I'm Portuguese, actually, I'm not Spanish, but been traveling around the world for several years. And I'm really happy now to be part of this team here at Cava. So before starting and let each winery begin the tours, I'd like to give you just some context on where we stand at this moment. So I don't know if you, Katie, can maybe show up the presentation we prepared for you guys today, at least for you to, of course, I think we all know here what Cava is, no? But probably the question here is what makes it so special? That's the big question, right? Especially when we have such a big range of offers in the market right now. Not talking about just sparkling wine, but still wines and other categories. So for sure that what makes it so special, we could have different possible answers right now. But what I can tell is that Cava is a quality sparkling wine of excellence. It is elaborated by the traditional method, as you know, and its Mediterranean influence and indigenous classic copage. Probably some of you already heard about Charello, Macabeo, Parellada, which are the three main varieties, what we call the classic copage that we use to elaborate Cava. Those are some of the variables that give Cava its essence, right? Its acceptance goes across the borders, resulting on an impressive number of exports worldwide. So right now, these are numbers from 2020, okay, last year. So the exports represent 70% of total Cava's production. So you can see the importance of the international market here. And it is an impressive number. We believe that we are capable of keep growing throughout the years, also with the support of an important promotional program, like the one that, we've been doing this year together with the help of O'Donnell Lane in the United States. So basically, despite the pandemic, we have been capable of delivering series of trades and consumer webinars and be very actively present at the market to educate not only professionals, but also consumers. As we believe that education is really a big and important foundation, right? To really people know what is Cava all about, right? So if we change the slide, Katie, we wanted to share with you, especially this year. This is a very important year for Cava. I don't know if you heard about the new regulation that was approved this year by the Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Fish. But basically, a lot of changes are on the works right now, considering the categories of Cava. So basically, this graph shows you the two big segments that were created that embraces the old categories that were already known. So we have Cava de Guarda as the youngest type of Cava with minimum aging of 9 months. And then what we've done was to create this new segment, which name is Cava de Guarda Superior, where you can find the Reserva, Gran Reserva, and Cava de Paraje Calificado. So starting on reservoir upwards, we all have named these as Cava de Guarda Superior. And this is probably one of the biggest changes we have done, because right now the producers can voluntarily so put the segment right on the labels. And of course, this was just approved. So for start seeing the first bottles, it will be a transitional time. But overall, it will be easier for the consumer to identify what type of category of cava am I buying, right? And together with that, there are several points of improvements that were worked. So, for example, Reserva was 15 months before, we raised up to 18. Then, well, the vineyards must be at least 10 years old to be classified as Cava de Guarda Superior. They need to be 100% organic vineyards. That's one of the biggest challenges. It needs to be organic to get the classification. There's a limit production, as we always do each year, right, to try to balance demand and offer. And so this year, the maximum of grapes per hectare are 10,000 kilos. And then also you can get the reference of the year of the harvest on the label as well. So those are some of the big changes we are doing right now. And basically we expect with this strategy to keep moving forward and upwards on the pyramid to really get the quality that Cava has across everyone, so everyone knows about it. So changing to the next one. So we know that Cava is a supra-autonomic deal, right? So here we have the map with the different locations, what we call the zones. Basically, Cava comes from different zones in Spain, as you know, that have the legal right to elaborate Cava, being the main zone, what we called Contact de Barcelona, which is the yellow right zone, and it is where more than 95% of the production is taking place. Then we have the other zones, which are Val del Ebro, okay, northern, then Viñedos de Almendralejo, which is closer to the Portugal, and Valencia. Well, you can see here that the name isn't identified because it's still to be determined, but it is also the fourth zone of where you can elaborate Cava. So changing to the next ones, what we did here was to give the opportunity with these zones for the winemakers to include the origin of the product, right? Which is something that at the end values the product, to know where it comes from. And there are two zones that for the dimension we have subdivided into subzones, because they are so big that you can classify, there are differences good enough for you to have different representations in terms of terroir. So, for example, today we're going to have here, so you're going to do the tour with Vilarnau and Juve camps. You can see they are located at one of the subzones, the Vales da Noia Foz, okay, and then Serra de Mar, which is the Alta winery. That's where it is located, very close to the Mediterranean Sea. So what we call the Contact de Barcelona, it is at the end what we call the capital of Cava, right? Because that's where it is. The majority of wineries are producing Cava. So changing to the next one, Conca del Gaià. This is another subzone. It is closer to Tarragona basin, to the river Gaià, going south in this case in Spain. And we also do have Serra de Pradas. Serra de Pradas named because of the mountains that you can see represented here on the graph, which really creates an ideal climate for the Trepat variety. Probably already heard about it. The next one, Katie, the Pla de Ponent is the fifth subzone, which is closer to Lleida, with well-drained soils and interior climates. So we can say in total we have these 5 subzones, okay? Then going to Val del Ebro, here the difference is we have 2 different subzones, Alto del Ebro and Val del Siercho. So basically you can see the Alto del Ebro river, it's right there. So where the mountains form a barrier, right? Reducing cold and rainfall. And Val del Siercho characterized more about the, the strong, dry and cold Siercho wind that really brings a special touch to our cavas, okay? So the next ones, the Almendralejo, because of its special location, which is much more plain and very similar, maybe let's say, if you know Portuguese wines, the Alentejo wines, which are drier. So the profile here, it's just more like that. Okay, because there's hot summers, so dry climate. That's the biggest difference we can find in this zone. And finally, the other zone, as I mentioned, so that's Levante. As I said, so the name is still to be determined, but there are a few wineries that can elaborate in this area as well, okay? So those we can say that probably, just to wait a little bit, so the project that it's on the works right now, we call it segmentation, right? Which is the 2 categories that I just mentioned to you before, Cava de Guarda and Guarda Superior, and zonification, which is giving a name to a specific territory that can identify the exact origin of the product. So in terms of sustainability, we know how important, right, organic wines and the trends on the markets and consumers trying to find organic, it is each day more important. So our way to show our strict compromise with the organic category, it is that, of course, there's a transitional period, and we're talking about a deal that has more than, as you know, 200 brands. So that's a big ship, as we say. So there is a transitional timing, and our commitment is to have by 2025 100% organic wines on the Cava de Guarda Superior category. It is exactly the timing needed to make the transition and all the investment and effort that some wineries are already doing. So we have to get this time to get everyone on board. But well, we're really confident this is an ambitious path for everyone, and are really proud to be part of such a big challenge, right? Then, well, before ending, I just wanted to share with you guys that we did launch Cava Academy this year. So everyone that is interested in taking, some training course regarding Cava, this is actually available through cavaacademy.com. So Ella is just popping up the link, right? So if you want to register, so we just finished up the second group. It is a limited number of seats, but we're getting a lot of interest, which is amazing to see that so many people want to learn about Cava. To be honest, it's being very satisfying to see there's this anxiety to learn. So we just invite you all, if you want to register to the third group probably would start by January, okay, 2022. So just so you have the information, it is a very complete course, and I think it's a good way for get all the information that you need to know more. So that's it. I will now pass back to you, Katie, and just to let you know, well, any questions, right? You may probably write to us, and we can then later answer you back. I wish you a lovely tour with these 3 amazing wineries that are working so hard to get the best products out in the market. So back to you, Katie, and thank you.
Great, thank you, Patricia. All right, so now we are off to our first winery, Alta Alella. So we'll just let in Maria Pujol Basquet, who is owner of the winery, and she will be presenting, and I believe all of you have the wines in front of you. So we'll hear from her, we'll do a little presentation and then a tasting. Now the awkward pause. Oh, and then quickly too, while Maria logs in, just wanted to, hi Maria, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And you?
Very well, thank you. All right, well, if you're all set, I'll go ahead and hand it over to you, okay?
Okay, fantastic. I'm gonna share my screen then. Okay. Okay, so can you see my screen? Yes, fantastic. Well, thank you very much for letting me explain who we are and what we do. I know that it's not easy to find the time to do these things. So thank you very much. Well, my name is Mireia Pujol Busquets, and I'm the second generation of Alta Alella winery. I don't know if, do you see this thing that I'm moving? I don't know where to put it. So, well, it's okay. But sorry. Okay, so well, yes, I'm the second generation of the wineries Alta Alella and Las Aus. We are a family winery. We started 30 years ago. And we say that we are dedicated to transparency and committed to nature. We are certified organic since the beginning, so since 1991. And we made the first Cava without sulfites in 2006. So it's been 16 years now making Cavas and wines without sulfites. This is my family, my parents, that they have been in the wine world for a long time. My father, he was a winemaker for big companies, but his dream was to find like his own project, his own vineyards, and do what he really wanted. And my mom, she was a nurse, but when I was born, she decided to change the world, and she started her own wine shop. So I grew up surrounded by bottles of wine, not by vineyards. The first contact with the wine for me was with the bottles. I'm a biologist. I'm a master in organic agriculture. I study sommelier too. I have been working in the winery for the last 10 years, but I did lots of harvests, like since I was really young. I've worked also in California. I've worked in Switzerland. I've worked in Priorat, in Penedès, in other wine regions in Spain. These are my two little kids, and my sister that she's not involved in the winery right now. But well, we all grew up surrounded by vineyards. We are in Alella, that is the smallest appellation in Spain, because here we produce still wines and also cavas, no? But for us it's very important to talk about where we are, because we are not in the Penedès region, so we are in Alella, where we can produce also cavas under the appellation Cava, and also something that it's going to be also the subzone Serra da Mar, that I'm sure that you have already now been, someone has been explaining you what's going on in the appellation Cava with the zones and subzones. So we're going to be in the subzone Serra da Mar, but our wines are made under the appellation de Alella. De Alella is one of the smallest appellations in Spain. There are less than 250 hectares. We have now 50 hectares. We started with 4 hectares and now we have 50. We are in a natural park. so it's not easy to grow a lot here. We are 10 kilometers from Barcelona city, 10 kilometers, so it's really, really close. And we can be here because we are in a natural park. We are in a protected area, so the only thing that we can do here is agriculture. So it's a really good thing for us because we can be so close to the city. Alella is also one of the eldest appellations in Spain. It was founded at the same time as Jerez, so it has a lot of stories. So the wines of the bourgeoisie of Barcelona were the white wines from Alella. So it's small, but with a very with a long story. This is a view of our state, the natural park, Serralada da Marina. What you see at the top of the picture, it's Barcelona. So from the top of our hill, you can see all the skyline of Barcelona. This is our valley, where we have most of our vineyards, most of them facing the sea as much as we can. Like this, we have as more hours of sun as possible. And then we have a breeze that it's called marinada. We are not in a windy region, but we have this very comfortable breeze that comes from the sea during the day, and another breeze that it's called terral that goes from the land to the sea during the night, and makes this circle of breeze all day long that helps us a lot to avoid fungus infections, okay? Because we are very close to the sea. We have to think that it's not an ocean, so it's more well balanced, okay? So it's the Mediterranean Sea. It's not like San Francisco and Napa, that we have a lot of fog because it's the ocean and it's quite different. So it's a really well balanced climate here. This is another view of our state. We have a lot of small vineyards, like parcels, okay, because we've been growing for many years with organic agriculture, but we don't have to forget that we work with a monocultive, and it's very important, like, to have small parcels to have like small ecosystems, and so like this, we have like white vegetation all over the small parcels, and we have small ecosystems and more well balanced. Something very important about our region is the soil, the sauló, that is the name of our soil. It's a granitic soil. It's a sandy soil, okay? So it's the pores between the small rocks are very big, bigger than other kinds of soil. It's an acid soil, very low in organic matter, and it's really convenient for the place where we are. First, this acidity helps us to make long aging cavas. That is what we do. We just do Gran Reserva, and also long aging wines, something that we do too. And also this sandy soil helps us, because when here it rains really bad. It rains torrentially, so we need a soil that drains really easy, and this is the kind of soil. Then also we have some periods of time with totally drainage, like all this year. And then the roots can go really deep to find the water from other rainfall. So it's a really convenient soil. It's low in organic matter. We don't want vigor, we don't want quantity, we want quality. So it's really good for us too. This is a map of our vineyards. Most of them are in the town of Tiana, but we can produce wine and cava in Tiana, Alella, and Tella. And our state is what you see on the Tiana. Different colors for different grape varieties. For us, it's very important the Pansa Blanca, that it's also known in other wine regions as Xarel·lo, but I'm going to talk always about Pansa Blanca. And Mataró, that it's also known as Monastrell or Morvedre. And the name comes from the capital of our region. Very important. It's a grape variety that in some regions in California and in Australia, you also know this grape variety by this name of Mataró, and it comes from our region. Okay, this is I'm sorry, I have to run because we entered a little bit late and I don't want to spend a lot of time. I'm sorry. This is how we harvest, okay? This is a video of 2 minutes, very short, of how we harvest. We have a long harvest, and normally we start second week of August. This year was a little bit earlier, and we finished first week of October. What we are doing now, we are finishing this week. We start with Cava and we finish with sweet wine, so that's why it's long. It's long also because we harvest everything by hand, so 50 hectares by hand with our own people. And we know after working 30 years with organic agriculture and without sulfites, 16 years without sulfites, is that one of the most important things, maybe it's very obvious, but it's that you need to have a really healthy grapes, no? So when you need to have really healthy grapes, you have to spend a lot of time sorting these grapes. You have to do a very strict selection on the vineyards, and then before entering into the cellar on the sorting table, no? And this is what you're seeing. Also, we use lots of CO2 ice, as you have seen. We work with gravity as much as possible with lots of controls. We have our amphoras made with our own soil and clay. We do our own compost. We work also with concrete eggs. And well, this is a big, quick summary of our harvest. Okay, well, I've been talking a little bit about Alella, and now it's important also to mention the Celler de les Aus. Celler de les Aus is a project that was born when we started to produce the first Cava without sulfite 16 years ago in 2006, but then it was in 2012 where we decided to create a separate winery to produce all the wines and Cavas without sulfites. All the winery has a whole concept of being really sustainable. Everything that you see in the winery, it's reused. So it's one of the most important things for being sustainable. Even the bottles that we use are reused. All the Cava bottles that we use in Celler de les Aus are reused, okay? Even for the wines, we bottle them in reused Cava bottles. Okay, we are also running a project now for the last 8 years trying to find grape varieties that are adapted to the climate conditions that we have here, because our objective is to become like 100% organic with the whole meaning of organic, like plants that are really adapted to the climate conditions that we have and to the climate emergency that we have. And we are doing this, hybridating our plants with other plants that have genes that are that can work against the fungus infections that are affecting us more. Okay, so let's try. If there are any questions.
I have a question.
Okay.
I could not open this bottle.
Okay, do you have like an opener?
Yes.
Okay, so just take the knife.
Do
Okay.
you cut the?
No. I'm just gonna show you. Okay, you have it like this, right?
Yes.
You put the knife here, you hold here, and you just turn.
Okay. All right. Sorry for my ignorance.
No. It's not the first. You are not the first one. Don't worry. We make it difficult, so then we have something to talk about it. You know.
Good. That's a good ploy.
Yeah. Okay, so let's start with the Bruan. The Bruan is this Cava that we made 16 years ago. Okay, and we're trying. You have 2020, right, or 19? Maybe you have 19. I'm not sure, because we just changed the vintage, right? Okay. Okay, so Bruan is one of the birds of our natural park. Celler de les Aus means the winery of the birds, and it's like a tribute to all the birds that we have in our natural park. Okay, so this is 100% Pansa Blanca, Brut Nature. So all the Cavas that we make are Brut Nature, not just because we don't want to add sugar. It's like we don't want to add any kind of liquors, any kind of makeups. We really want our our cavas to talk about the vintage, you know, and for us it's really important. For us it's really important that our wines talk about that we are really close to the sea, about our soil of the Saulo, about the varieties, also the vintage, it's very important, and of course the people that makes the cavas. Okay, so you can smell a lot like the characteristics of the Pansa Blanca, no? This green apple. Also some wild fennel. We have lots of wild fennel in our state. And some almonds too. 100% without sulfites, okay? And it's made with the ancestral method, but without degorgement. So we finish the first fermentation on the bottle when we have 23, 24 grams of sugar left, okay? It's very fresh, it's very gastronomic. And you're gonna start feeling on the aftertaste, this proximity that we have from the sea, no? This salinity, no? That makes you salivate, that makes you wanna drink more of this cava. Okay, we can go to the next one. We have the Mirgin now. This is the classic trio, no, of cava. We have Pansa Blanca, Macabeo and Parellada. This cava, it's called Mirgin. Mirgin is it's very simple. It's Mireia, that it's my name, and Georgina, that it's my sister. So well, it's just the story, the short of story of the name of this cava. With this cava, we were trying to find something like really fresh. Like we wanted to create a cava, to have a really good cava as a house wine, to have it by the glass with a lot of freshness. A cava that can pair really good with many kinds of food. On the smell, you can feel how close from the sea we are. And this citrus that comes from the varieties. We can feel here this bitterness that comes from the Pansa Blanca too, that on the Bruin we could feel too, but here we can feel it again, and this makes this wine very fresh. This cava, sorry, I always say. Anyone wants to comment something, or we can go to the last one? Maybe. Yes, I know I'm fast, but I know that we have a lot of things you have a lot of things to taste. So, and to finish, we have the Layeta. Okay, one of our most special cavas, and this cava has helped us to develop our brand or our name in lots of countries, no? Because it's a cava that really describes us a lot. Okay, so it's when we decided to make this cava, we wanted to like prove that there could be an evolution in the cava, or no, like we are a young winery, but with a lot of experience, no? And I think that this is also a characteristic of this cava. It's also Gran Reserva and Brut Natures, everything that we do. The Layeta means the people that used to live in this region before the Ibers arrived here. No, there are, if you have been to Barcelona, there is a big road called Via Laietània. So it's a name that you can hear a lot here, and it's with a lot of like tradition and meaning. No, and here we have a cava that it's 80% Pansa Blanca, but it has a little bit of Macabeo, Chardonnay, and Pinot Noir. I think it's another step, no? It's really elegant. It has more ripening fruits on the nose and some flowers too. It has more body, no? It has, again, this good bitterness that makes it very fresh. It's more it has more fat on the mouth, and I don't know. I hope that you enjoy it. Just to finish, I know that we are running out of time. This is all the cavas that we make. We have also rosé cavas. We have 2 cava de parajes because we have also the paraje Valsirera, just here. I cannot show you, but it's just on the middle of our valley. I hope that soon you can visit us, and I'm gonna be able to show it to you. This is the line of wines that we produce here, still wines. All the wines and cavas, all the Sella de las Aus, everything without sulfite, from pet nuts to orange wine to sweet wines to the cavas also. This is a list of our distribution in the US that you will have in your presentation, and maybe it helps you. And this is it. So I hope that you like it. If there are any questions, I tried to. I was really fast, but I just tried to do it as much better as I could.
Oh, thank you, Maria. Oh, Melissa's asking if you can show the distributor page.
Oh, yeah,
again.
sure. Yes, let me see. I have to share the screen, but you will share with them, right?
Yes, we can definitely share all those details in the follow-up email. Yep.
Okay. It's okay?
Oh, good. Great.
So soon we're gonna be traveling to the US. We have like 2 big trips planned for next year, and maybe I have the chance to meet some of you guys, because it's been a long time with lots of wine online tastings, and I'm really looking forward to meet like real people. So I really hope that maybe I can meet with you somewhere we're gonna be in row fairs. We're gonna be with the distributors working around. So if you ever want us to show around, just ask Katie for my contact, and I will be super happy to visit you. Okay.
Great. Thank you, Maria. And then if anybody has
Thank
any
you.
questions too, as Maria said, we can always follow up later. So now just a couple of things. So Terry from Winetastic, she will actually be leaving us now. I think she was only able to join for the hour. So thank you, Terry, for your time. And then we'll have the recording to share with you so that you can taste the other wines and see the rest of the presentation at your leisure. All right. And then next up, so now we'll go to our next winery, Juve y Camps. And we've got Marichelle Juve, the CEO of the winery, and she will be joined by Fernando Alzamora, the enologist. And so I think we're just letting them in, and there they are connecting. And then after this, we will have a break. So just keep that in mind. Let's see if we can hear them. All right.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hello. Can you hear us?
We can. Yes. Hello and welcome. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over
Hi,
to
Katie,
you.
we can't hear you.
Oh, no, you can't hear us?
We cannot hear you.
All right.
Sí, ¿no? Ahora estamos nosotros. Aquí, sí, no están conectados.
Y en teoría, theoretically, the sound is on.
Yes.
Because no, sí, tens el so apagat a l'ordinador.
No, està
Sí, no,
sí, s'ha tancat, sí. Aquí.
Fica-la al màxim.
Ja
Perfecte.
està. Ara. Hi, can you hear us now?
We can hear you. Can you hear us?
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Crisis averted.
Yeah, thanks God we produce wine, not IT.
Well, I will turn it over to you to go ahead and introduce yourselves. And I have your presentation. So you just let me know when you'd like to show the presentation.
Oh, perfect. Well, first of all, we'd like to thank you, El Consejo Regulador del Cava, for letting us just have these moments and share
Thank you.
the history of Juve Camps. Buenas tardes, Patricia.
Hola.
Here today, there's Fernando Zamora. Fernando, you introduce yourself.
Hello, I am Fernando Zamora. I am the consulting enologist for Juvecam. I am working with Juvecams for more than 15 years. I am also professor of enology in the University of Rovira i Virgili, in which I teach enology and also make research in some fields such as phenolic compounds and especially sparkling wines.
And my name is Meritxell. It's not an easy name, but I'm the fourth generation of the Juve family, just managing the winemaking team and also the business team for Juve Camps. And as we said before, it'll be a pleasure for the next 20 minutes to introduce who we are and what we do in Juve Camps. So if you want, Katie, we can start with the presentation maybe, or?
Great. And would you like to show the video to start?
Yes, that would be great. Thank you.
The Juve family from Panedes in Barcelona have been stewards of the land for over 200 years, currently farming their 700-acre estate organically. Well-tended vineyards thrive in the Mediterranean climate, protected by the majestic Montserrat Mountains. Soils and microclimates are perfectly matched to grow the best expression of each variety. It takes time and patience to craft the exquisite Juvean Camps canvas. Grapes are hand-harvested and sorted at the estate. Bottles rest for years in the underground caves to develop the creaminess and refined elegance, the hallmarks of the Juvean Camps house. Expert hands riddle each bottle to finalize the time-honored process to produce Juvean Camps artisan cavas, a pure expression of the family estate.
Well, so as you have seen in the video, we'll just do this short presentation. We'll start introducing the company. If you can just go through the first slide, well, the next one. As you have seen in the video, Juve Camps is a family business. The fourth generation, right now, the third and the fourth generation of the company is just managing from the winemaking side, and also from the business side is managing the business. We are 100% estate and 100% organic winery. And we have one of the things that makes us quite different compared to other of our main competitors is that we have integrated value chain from the vineyards up to the bottling. We produce it all in our own facilities. We have been having vineyards for more than 200 years in the family, and we have been producing sparkling since 1921. This year we're celebrating the century of the history of the company. In Juve comes, we would like to say that we lead with prestige right now. I'm not too sure if my previous colleagues have spoke about that. The total appellation, more or less, and I'm sure that the Consejo Regulador will give you these numbers much better. The total appellation produces around 250 million bottles of a sparkling. And from these 250 million bottles of a sparkling, only 5 million of them are what we consider the top of the pyramid, Cava Gran Reserva or Cava de Paraje. From these 5 million bottles on average, and in a normal year, not in a COVID year, Juve represents between 32 to 38% of the total production of these two categories, certified all 100% by El Consejo Regulador del Cava. So we like to say that we are an important player in what we consider the top of the pyramid, what's considered the prestigious sparklings produced in Spain. We have our main state. We own a unique heritage in Penedès. We have, as we said before, more than 700 acres in the Penedès region, where we harvest the main grapes, especially Macabeo, Xarel·lo, and Parellada. Later on, Fernando will talk about the sparklings. He will speak a bit more about the grapes that we have in Espiells. Right now, we have 3 privileged areas that we choose each one for specific varieties. We have the Espiells one, the one that we will see later on. It's the main state for the family, and it's located in the foothills of the famous mountain of Montserrat. We also have La Coscona in the central valley, and finally we have the Mediona in the highlights. In Mediona, we plant more the red varieties and also the Pinot Noir that we use for our rosé. And in Espiells, I said Fernando will speak a bit more later on about this, we have the iconic Cava varieties, Macabeo, Xarel·lo, and Parellada. The good thing that we have is that with these 700 acres, we have the chance to plant in every region the best, the most convenient grapes, just according to the temperature that we have and according to the different soils that we have right now in our 700 acres. Well, in here, I've mentioned it before, this is Espiells. This is a representation of Espiells. Fernando will go through this later on, but in here we have, I said, Macabeo, Xarel·lo, and Parellada, and also the Pinot Noir. We're not going to talk about this today, but we also have some products that are considered Cava de Paraje Calificado, and they come from single vineyards in this area. Juve is 100% organic since 2015. So we've been more than 6 years certifying our sparklings as organic. We do the hand harvest, and we like to work with low yield grape growing processes. On average, it depends on the year. The appellation allows to harvest 12,000 kilos per hectare. In Juve on average, we harvest per hectare, depends on the variety, between 7,000 to 8,000. So we like to reduce the quantities of the grapes per hectare that we harvest. And in some vineyards like La Capella, we go down to 3,000 or 4,000 kilos per hectare. Here we can see some of the images of our different estates in Espiells. It's not very common that it's as known as we can see in this photo, but we also have beautiful photos of the vineyards as known. And then just talking about one of the main differences, I spoke about this before, but I'm sure the appellation has explained you better. The Cava category, we have right now 4 different categories, including Cava de Paraje. We're going to focus today in Cava Gran Reserva, which is the iconic production of Juve. On average, or Reserva de la Familia, that you will taste later on, has 36 to 48 months on the bottle on the second fermentation. And on average, also Gran Juve has between 42 months when we release it into the market. And it can go up to 58, 54 months on the bottle on the second fermentation. That's a big difference compared to other sparklings that you can find right now in the market. And another very important thing for Juve Camps in Spain is that we have right now iconic partnerships with some of the main Michelin stars, 2 and 3 Michelin stars. Right now, Juve Camps, we are selling our products in more than 60 countries, and we have in Spain, in 10 of the 3 Michelin stars, our products are represented. We have also partnerships with some of the most iconic houses and restaurants. And we also are right now represented in 18 out of the 24 2 Michelin stars. This shows the commitment of the company with high gastronomy and with the iconic chefs that we have. Spain is known for the good cuisine, and Juve Camps is right now, as I said, present in most of these iconic restaurants. And finally, just to conclude, in the next slide to conclude the brief presentation, and before Fernando starts with the products, I would like to resume what Juve Camps is. If you can just move another slide, Katie. What Juve Camps represents, as I said before, is a family business. It's been for more than 100 years. It's been managed by the Juve family. It's a company that really believes in the vineyard. We have got more than 700 acres of organic harvest. Organic viticulture is right now one of our most iconic pillars. We also control from the beginning to the end of the production. Everything is produced and is just bottled in-house. We don't buy base Cava. And as we said, we also we are one of the houses that believes more in the long aging production of sparklings in Spain. As we said before, we represent between this 32 to 38% of the total category of long aging cavas produced in the appellation, with especially Reserva de la Familia. Now Fernando will continue with Reserva de la Familia and Gran Juve, explaining the characteristics of these 2 sparklings. But the commitment of the house is with the long aging sparklings. And now, Fernando, if you want to continue with the tastings.
Thanks, Meritxell. Well, it's my honor to present you 3 sparkling wines, very representative of what Juve Camps is making. The first one is Reserva de la Familia. Reserva de la Familia is probably the most emblematic sparkling wine of Juve Camps, and is really a reference in the Spanish market for Cava. It is a blend of the 3 traditional autochthonous cultivars in Penedès and in Cava. That means Macabeo, Xarel·lo, and Parellada. Xarel·lo is the most important for us, and really is more than 50% of the final blend, depending of the years. And Xarel·lo provides acidity, body, and especially ability for aging. That is very important for us because the Juve Camps is really making long aging cavas, because we think that is very important. I will explain after what that means exactly for us. Macabeo and Parellada provides fruitiness and also delicate aromas. We start to harvest always with Macabeo, usually at the end of August. We continue with Xarel·lo, and finally, nearly 1 month later, we finish with Parellada. This is planted in the higher vineyards. Each cultivar is winemaker separately in a classical white winemaking process. Once alcoholic fermentation is finished, we gently stabilize the wines. We blend to obtain the best coupage blend possible, and after we use this base wine for making the second fermentation, la prise de mousse in French. That means that we add a little bit of sugar, selected yeast, and also a little bit of sugar, as I have told, and we start the fermentation in the bottle. This fermentation, la prise de mousse, can last around 1 month, more or less, depending. But after, we age this sparkling wine at least for 36 months. Why? Because it's very important for us. It's because during this time, the yeast that have finished the alcoholic fermentation dead, we name this yeast Lis, and they start to be naturally degraded. That is a biological process that is named autolysis. And during this time, these yeast release a lot of substances such as proteins, polysaccharides, and especially monoproteins that change completely the composition and the quality of the cava, of the sparkling wine, improving especially sensory aspects such as effervescence and flammability that allows to obtain a perfect integration of carbon dioxide and also to change completely the aromas of the wine. In a young cava, after 9 months, that is the minimal time in the appellation, we obtain a wine with effervescence that is very aggressive, and the notes of aromatic notes are exactly or nearly the same that in the natural wine, white wine. In the case of long aging time, these aspects change completely, and we obtain notes of brioche, buttery notes, honey, and especially we obtain a very creamy effervescence in the mouth. That is very important for us, and that is the reason because most of the sparkling wines of the kinds are aged for a long time. Reserva de la Familia is a gran reserva, that means at least 30 months, but usually we make more than 36 months because we want to obtain the maximum expression of the effervescence. We can look the visual aspect, and it's a pale yellow color. That is a very good color, taking into account that this wine has aged for 36 months at least. After, if you look at the effervescence, you can distinguish a lot of small bubbles that goes up to the surface of the glass, making a stable white crown. If we smell the wine, we can distinguish a very intense and complex aroma, in which we can distinguish evidently white fruits, but also stone fruits, and also honey and notes of brioche, and some buttery notes that start to be present. A very complex aroma. And in mouth, the effervescence is very creamy. You have a very good balance between acidity, freshness, and fruitiness. The body is very good, and also you can distinguish that the persistence is very, very, very long. I think it is a very good cava, and it's a very representative sparkling wine of what the classical traditional varieties in the region can provide. This cava can be paired with a lot of dishes, seafood, by example, but why not being more valiant, and why not trying to pair with, by example, roasted lamb. Well, now we are going to taste the following one. Is Gran Juve. Gran Juve is also a blend, in that case, of the traditional cultivars, Xarel·lo, Macabeo, and Perellada, but also with a little bit of Chardonnay. In that case, Xarel·lo and Chardonnay provides acidity, body, structure, and ability for aging, whereas Macabeo and Perellada provides delicate notes, aromatic aromas, no? And also fruitiness. Well, these grapes are selected, are the best one, the best vineyards are selected for making this cava. That is exactly winemaker as the previous one, Reserva de la Familia, and is also used after a gently stabilization for the second fermentation, La Prix de Mousse. But in that case, the minimal time of aging is 42 months, maybe more depending on the year and the moment of the vintage, no? The quality of the vintage. In that case, we can distinguish that the color is some more golden yellow, no? That is completely logical because it has more time of aging, and you can distinguish also the small and fine bubbles that goes up, making a stable crown. In nose, the presence of the autolysis is quite more present because in that case, buttery notes, brioche, stone fruits, honey are very, very present, also rendered by classical stone fruits and the classical notes of white sparkling wine. A very complex aroma that invites us to the taste. In mouth, the effervescence is really very creamy, really fills all the palate, making a very pleasant sensation. We can distinguish exactly all the aromas that we have perceived in nose after in the long persistence that we obtain after drinking. A very good cava that is can go also compared with a lot of different dishes, but in that case I advise you to eat, to drink at the end of the dinner, by example with the dessert, because it's very, very good with desserts. And finally, we are going to taste rosé. In that case, it's only made with Pinot Noir. Pinot Noir is the classical red variety from Champagne that has been very well adapted in this area. But in any case, we need to take a lot of care because Pinot Noir in our region ripens really very quickly. That is the reason because we need to make maturity controls daily and decide to harvest immediately when the grapes are ready for being harvested. The perfect moment of a good balance between acidity and fruitiness. In that case, the grapes are not directly presented in white wines because we need to make a short maceration in order to extract the anthocyanins that are present in the skins and are the molecules responsible of the color, of the pink color of this wine. We make a very short maceration of a few hours, depending on the year, and after that, we continue a traditional white or rosé wine making to obtain a base wine. Blend in that case is not necessary because we work with only one cultivar. And after, when the wine is already stabilized, we start the second fermentation, la prise de mousse, exactly equal than the other case. But the difference is that, unlike the other cavas of Juve camps, this sparkling wine only aged for 15 months. Why? Because in that case, we prefer to maintain the fruitiness of this wine that only dullness can provide. Evidently, we can age more time, but then the sparkling wine will change and we will obtain another product. And in that case, we prefer to maintain this fruitiness that is really very present. The color is a bright and shiny pink color in which we can distinguish small bubbles that make a stable white crown. I think that the contrast between this shiny pink color and the white color of the crown really is a very nice spectacle. Well, in us, we can distinguish in that case very clearly red fruits, especially cherry, but also strawberry, and also, why not, some flowery notes. Autolysis is not so present on the other ones because it's youngest. No? And in mouth, the contrast between the creamy effervescence and the fruitiness of this wine is really very, very, very nice. I think that is a very nice rosé sparkling wine that can pair perfectly with, by example, salmon, smoked salmon, or why not tuna, and why not, I think that is perfect as aperitif. And well, I am here for answering your questions.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you very much, as Fernando said, for letting us explain a bit more about Juve cans. I'm sure that you have to continue with your tour, but maybe at the end you will be able to ask some questions to Consejo Regulador. So thank you again for sharing this time with us.
And we did have one question, Fernando, about the Reserva de la Familia. Is it made every year or just in exceptional vintages?
We make all the years. Other wines, especially in the case of red wines, we also make red wines. The best one is only made the perfect year in which we really reach the perfect ripening level of the grapes. But Reserva de la Familia, I have been working here for 15 years, no? And all these 15 years we have elaborated Reserva de la Familia. And I think that is very constant because the quality of all the vintage are really very similar each year. We work for that.
Okay, are there any other questions? Oh,
Yes,
one more
quick.
What
is the dosage for the rosé?
Just thing that I forbidden. I have forgot. Reserva de la Familia has no doses because it's brut nature. That is very important. Okay, no sugar is added. Zero. Only the residual sugars after the second fermentation that should be below 1 gram by liter. Okay. In Grand Juve has around 6 grams by liter, and rosé a little bit more, maybe 7 or 8. Yes. we look for, we try to obtain the best balance possible using very low amounts of sugar. Another thing that is very important for us and that all these wines has performed malolactic fermentation that allows to improve the aromatic quality and obtain more battery notes that really provides complexity to our wines.
All right. Well, if there aren't any other questions, we're going to take a short break here. So we've got 15 minutes. So for all of you buyers, if you would like to go and get a coffee, check your email, you just can turn your cameras off and go on mute. And then we'll meet back here in 15 minutes, right at the half-hour mark. So thank you again, Marichel, Fernando. That was a great presentation. Learned a lot, and we appreciate your time. So
thank you very much, Katie.
To visit. We now head to Vilarnau. So we've got Eva, who will be presenting for us today. She's the winemaker. So that's Eva Plazas, and she's accompanied by Andrew Sinclair, who works for Gonzalez Bias USA. So they're going to be with us here just in a moment. And then I just want to remind you all that following this presentation, we will have our buyers roundtable. So I'll turn it over to Aaron Kirshenman, and you all will have a chance to talk a little bit about Cava. So I will turn it over to you, Eva.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Now, I want to introduce you the Cava's Vilarnau, okay? And now first, you can see a video. Kathy, can you share the video, please?
Yes, just one moment.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, slight technical difficulties, but I'm ready to go.
I'm ashamed by the lies and the worthless games, but the wine and the night made me feel okay. No other you, no other me, no other us, babe. One of a kind, and I won't let it slip away. I can see you in my head, I can see you in my bed, I can see you doing all those things we used to do instead. All the fights at 2 a.m. when you knew I was your man. The only thing I'm thinking about, I really gotta hold on. Come back home, we can fight, I can take the blame. And I bet making sense makes us feel okay. Give it back, give me love, don't you run away. Got a list, couple things that'll make you stay.
Okay, you can see the Vilarnau winery is located in Sant Sadurní d'Anoia municipality, but in the highest place, the name is Espiells. In fact, we are neighbors from Juve camps. I think that before me, you have a tasting with Marichel. And you can see that in this place in the heart of the Penedès area, behind two important mountains. In the south, we have coastline littoral. Behind these mountains, we have the Mediterranean Sea, and these mountains protect for all the humidities and the humidity winds. And in the south, we have, and in the north, we have a Montserrat mountain. Here in these pictures, in this slide, you can see the Montserrat mountains. Behind these mountains, we have the Pyrenees, okay? Montserrat protect for all the north winds, for all the cold winds that come from the Pyrenees area, okay? And Vilarnau is in this heart of this area. The name is Espiells, okay? And Vilarnau belongs to the González Vías family. I am sure that you know the most famous wine. The name is Tío Pepe. And González Vías, born in 1835 in the south of Spain, in Jerez de la Frontera, okay, with the famous wine Tío Pepe. And now these family wines have wineries around Spain in the most important wine regions, and all two in Chile and in Mexico, okay? And one of the most important wines areas in Spain is Cava. And in 1982 is when González Vías bought a little winery in the center of the town. In this moment, the name is Castell de Vilarnau. And in 2005 is when we built this new cellar that we can see in this video, okay? It's a cellar that is inaugurated in October 2005 around to the vineyards and around our estate. I am Eva Plazas. I want to explain that I am the winemaker from Vilarnau, and you know that in 1860 in Europe arrived to the phylloxera, okay. Katia, can you, okay. And in my town, I born in Sant Sadurní d'Anoia, and I live in Sant Sadurní d'Anoia, is the capital of Cava. And in 1860 arrived to the phylloxera. And now we have a party of phylloxera because we want to remember this history, and that we can found the solution about with the phylloxera. And I am a person that are in this party, and under this big head, for example, the viticulturist, I am in this dancer, and my son is too in phylloxera party under this a big head of vines. And so sorry, but I want to share with you this a very important party in my town, in Sant Sadurní d'Anoia, and in the history from the Cava, okay? And now I want to talk about for me, with the three important points for make a Cava, okay? One is the vineyards, second one is the grapes variety, and the three is the yeast or the second fermentation, okay? The vineyards in Vilarnau, we have 120 hectares that we control, okay? These vineyards are in the different parts of this Penedès area. This is a big area from Penedès. And we have the different vineyards in the different soils. We have a classification for the different areas. You know that in Penedès we have the area of a high Penedès, medium Penedès, and low Penedès. And we have vineyards in these different areas and classification for the different soils. And I work with the different spontaneous cover or crops or seeding covers, depend of the weather, the rainfalls, the type of soil. And all the vineyards is with the lower productions, and we have long contracts with the wine growers. That is very important for us. And all the vineyards now in Vilarnau are organic. That is another important point, okay? For me, these are 3 points: vineyards, The second one is the varieties. And now I won't talk about with the different varieties, Macabeu, Xarel·lo, Parellada, Chardonnay, and that every varieties for the Cava brings different characteristics. And I think that the best things is with the pictures, okay? And I prepared this slide because I think that the pictures can explain very good what apply every variety for the blending, okay, when we make the blending. In this case, for example, I put this picture for the Parellada because I think that Parellada is a delicate variety with a high acidity, less volume alcohol. And for me, Parellada in the blending is like a ballerina, okay? Another variety very important is the Xarel·lo. Xarel·lo for me is a very strong variety with a high volume alcohol, high acidity, and it's a very body and very structured for the blending. For the reason for me that Xarel·lo is this picture is like a nice man. And Macabeu for Vilarnau and for me, it's a very important variety. Normally in our blending, it's like a backbone, okay? It's a blackborn. It's normally in the blendings of Vilarnau, Macabeu is like 50% of the coupage. For the reason for me, Macabeu is like this woman that have a balanced structure is the backbone, nice acidity, nice volume alcohol is a good balance. And finally, the white variety that we use for our blending is the Chardonnay. Chardonnay here in our area is a very powerful variety with a nice fruity flavors and a good structure. For the reason I think that this picture is can introduce or can understand better the Chardonnay variety. Okay. I think that I talk about that the vineyards is very important for Cava, the varieties, and one of the most important thing is the yeast that make the second fermentation inside the bottle. And this yeast normally make the fermentation like a 1 month. In this picture, you can see on the top, you can see this picture, the yeast when make the second fermentation. But when all the sugar it's consumer, when make this second fermentation, normally we add always 24 grams per liter sugar, and this sugar is not cane sugar, is a sugar that comes from the mast, concentrate mast, that is a very important point, and organic too, is a concentrate mast that comes from the grape, okay? And always we add 24 grams per liter sugar. Why? Because you know that for every 17 grams per liter sugar is 1 volume alcohol, and for every 4 grams per liter sugar is like a 1 atmosphere's pressure, 1 bar, okay? For the reason when we add 24 grams per liter sugar, in this second fermentation, the volume alcohol increase like 1.5. For the reason if we have a wine with a 10 volume alcohol, when make this second fermentation inside the bottle, we have a Cava with 11.5. This 1.5 volume alcohol increase inside the bottle for this second fermentation, okay? And likewise with the pressure, with the bubbles, for every 4 grams per liter sugar, we have 1 atmosphere, 1 bar. When finish this second fermentation inside the bottle, we have a 6 atmospheres pressure, okay? When the yeast don't have sugar, die, settle it at the bottom of the bottle, and start to the autolysis, sorry. And it's when the yeast are broken and give to all the amino acids, fatty acids, peptides, nucleides, monoproteins in the Cava. And we have, when we have a more aging time, we have a more contact with this autolysis, with this yeast, and this is very important for have a more complexity in a Cava. During the tasting, we can see the autolysis that produce this complexity aromas, these toasty notes, more volume on the palate, more fatty, okay, make more complexity. And this one of the best magical things that have in a Cava process, okay? And another important point in Vilarnau is that all cavas will be organic, by organic grapes, and vegan too. We have the certification with the vegan. You know that the vegan, it's only one part of the process. If you use protein, this protein, you can use protein that come from the potato or pea, and we don't use any animal protein, caseins or gelatins or albumins, okay? That is important. All cavas Vilarnau are organics, made by organic grapes, and with vegan, okay? And another important point for us is the sustainability and the environment. For the reason in Vilarnau, we have a certification. The name of this certification is the Wineries for Climate Protections, okay? That is a certification that make the Spanish Wine Federation, FED. And it's very important because this certification, it's like have four very important points. One is the reduction of the emissions of the CO2, okay? Gas reductions, efficiency, energy efficiency, and efficiency of water. These 4 points, and it's very important that every year you need to reduce, you need to make some applications, some very important things, because you need to reduce every year these things, okay? And that is one of the very important points for us. We have a biomass boiler, and this biomass is with vine shoots. We use the fossil. It's not gas oil. It's like we use the vines when we make the pruning. Okay, the vine shoots we use for make energy in our biomass boiler, and we have a lake that we recollect all the rainwater, and we have the panels, solar panels too, for a long time. Okay, and this is our Vilarnau certification, organic, and wineries for climate protection and vegan. Okay, and this is our experience, that we have a very nice place for make visitors. People can go here to Vilarnau and have a nice experience with the difference, because in our place it's a very nice the environment and all the natural and place is a very nice place. And now, if you want, we can taste the cavas. You have the bottles, or you have bottles? Yes. Okay. Now, if you want, you can start for the Vilarnau Brut. Okay. This is the Vilarnau Brut Reserva. You can see that is Reserva with the green seals. Okay. Reserva is more than 15 months aging. Okay, on the list with the yeast. Okay, and the blending is a 50% Macabeo. If you remember, when I talk about with the blending, I explained that for us the Macabeo is like a backbone. Okay, and it's like is a 50% Macabeo, 35% Parellada, and 15 Xarel·lo. Okay, it's a Brut. Brut is with, you know that Brut is until 12 grams per liter sugar, and this is with 8.5 grams per liter sugar, okay? This Cava, it's a very important, in this Cava we search a lot of primary aromas. You know that in Cava we can find 3 types of aromas: the primary aromas that come from the grape, okay? The secondary aromas that come from the second fermentation, and the tertiary aromas that come from the autolysis, the aging time. In this case, in this Cava, I such a good balance with the primary aromas and secondary aromas. It's a very fresh and floral we can find all the primary aromas that come from the grape. Okay, it's a very clean, very fresh, I think so. I hope that you think the same like me. Okay, and on the palate is a nice bubbles. Okay, you know that it's very important to the mousse sensation inside the mouth. Okay, and this sensation of the bubbles, and it's like is a freshness and elegant, and I like it because it's a very long aftertaste, and it's clean your mouth and invite to drink a little bit more, and that is very important because clean your mouth, and it's very interesting because it's sweet, but you don't have these sweet sensations. Okay, it's only 8.5. It's a very nice cava for by the glass or for with tapas, for example. It's very nice for what do you want. I think that you can drink in all the moments. It's like do you like? You can see that the presentation is like a Gaudí sliver. Okay, this is the trencadís. It's the, you know, the tails that used Gaudí in Barcelona for all the Sagrada Familia or the Parc Güell. Okay, this is the trencadís. Okay. Okay, the second one here, if you prefer, now we can taste the Brut Nature. Okay, you Katia, do you have the presentation of the Brut Nature, the slide? Okay, because I think that the rosé is better, the last one. Okay, this is the Vilarnau Brut Nature Reserva. Okay. This is the Cava Guarda Superior because it's all are organic, and this is more than 24 months on the list. Okay, this is similar Macabeo Parellada, but here with Chardonnay. Okay, this is the 50% is with Chardonnay. In our vineyards, we have a Chardonnay, and I like it very much. This Chardonnay, it's planted in 1991. It's a very old vineyards of Chardonnay, vines of Chardonnay. And this is a cava with residual sugar, 3 grams per liter residual sugar. And it's a cava. With this cava, with Vilarnau Brut Nature Reserva, I said a good balance. I want to have a, here we have 18 and 17, okay, vintage, but it's very similar to the tasting notes of the Nature Reserva from 17 and 18. Okay, I think that you cannot find some difference. Okay, because normally with this cava I such a good balance with the primary, secondary, and tertiary aromas, and I think that in this cava, we have a primary aromas. This primary aromas is more similar like a citric aromas. It's not perhaps powerful like a fruity or flower like a Vilarnau Brut Reserva. It's more citric, more elegant. And here we can find secondary aromas from the second fermentation inside the bottle and appear some tertiary aromas. These aromas like toasty notes, more complexity, and honey. Okay, I think that it's a good reserva because we have this a good balance with the 3 types of aromas: primary, secondary, and tertiary aromas. Okay. On the palate, you can see that it's a nice acidity. It's dry. Okay, and you have this on the side of the tongue, you have this more acid sensation, but it's more fresh, and it's a very nice long aftertaste. It's a very long, clean your mouth, and this cava it's more gastronomic. I think that it's you can start a meal with this cava and finish with this. It's a very gastronomic cava Perhaps Brut is more by the glass or for tapas, and Brut Natura Reserva is more for start a meal with this and finish with this, and clean your mouth every time, and you can enjoy a lot with the meal, okay, with this Cava.
And Eva, just so you know, the participants all have the 2018 vintage, just so you know, of the Brut Nature.
18, yeah. Yeah, I have 18, and I think that in United States now it's 17, right?
I think, but they have the 18 currently.
You have the 18 too. Fantastic. Okay, you have the same like me. That's it's very nice. Okay. Sorry, I don't understand. Okay, perfect. That's it's nice. Okay. And last one, if you want, and the last one is the rosé. This is the Vilarnau Brut Rosé Reserva. We say that is the Delicat, and it's to the, we said Rosé Delicat. I love all cavas from Vilarnau, but this is my favorite. Okay, it's more than 15 months aging on the list. Okay, it's 85% Garnacha and 15 Pinot Noir. Volume alcohol is a little bit more because the Garnacha is a little bit more ripening here, and its dosage is 8.5, like the Vilarnau Brut Reserva. Okay, and this Cava, you can see that the color is palette color because the rosé, it's like now it's with the less color. Okay, and it's here I love the Garnacha for Cava. Here when we have the vineyard for Cava that we use for Garnacha is a little bit different than that if you have a vineyard for make a red wine. Okay, normally if you think with a Spanish Garnacha in your mind, you think in Priorat, for example, with the vines that have a less quantity of grape, and the grapes are very concentrated with the very poor soils. Okay, but here the Garnacha for Cava is a little bit different because here we have a soils more clay, more fertilized, and we have a little bit more grapes. And here in this Garnacha, we don't want to have a lot of sugar. Here for make Cava, I want to have a nice acidity. And for the reason, normally this Garnacha, the harvest is before than in other parts of, for example, than Priorat, and we have only with 10 or 11.5 alcohol, it's enough. But I want not a Garnacha with a 14 degree. With Garnacha with a 10 or 11 is enough for make a Cava. For the reason is a little bit different. The viticultures that we apply for Garnacha that we use for make a Cava, that the Garnacha that we can use for make a red wine. Okay, it's another concept. It's a little bit different. Okay, and here this Cava, it's a very nice intensity aromas. Here is like it's very similar to the Vilarnau Brut Reserva. I want to found a lot of primary aromas in these two Cavas. These primary aromas like red berries, raspberries, blueberries, but is elegant. It's elegant with a little bit mint too, or the it's a very complexity aromas. I think that you can find a lot of fruities and a lot of red fruits and all these complexity aromas. It's a very fresh aromas and primary aromas. Okay. I think that have a very nice balance with the acidity, with the CO2, the bubbles on this mousse sensation on the top of the tongue. And this aftertaste, it's very nice. And you have this aftertaste that remain all the aromas that you can find on the nose, okay? And it's like a pair, all these fruity, red fruity aromas with this a long aftertaste on these nice flavors. I think that with this Cava, we have a lot of challengers and a lot of medals. Is one of the Cavas that we are more exciting because we have a lot of medals, and I think that it's a very special rosé Cava, and it's for me, it's one of the best rosé Cava. It's not good that I say it, but it's my opinion. Okay, and I don't know if you have some questions, or Katie, if you want to see the video from the harvest when I talk about with the harvest, or
Yeah, I think let's do that. Does that sound
sorry, my
good?
English is very bad, so sorry, but I hope that you understand me. And
Let's play the video, because I think
okay, thank you.
present the harvest very well in it. So
No, please. Now I want to talk about with the 2021. It's a very nice harvest. We have a very healthy grape. The grape don't have any illness because this year was very dry. It's a dry, but luckily the last year, 2020, we have a lot of rainfalls and the vine have a reserve of water, okay? And this year, the quality is very nice, it's amazing. We have a very balance with the acidity and the sugar content of the grapes, and the flavors are very powerful. I think that the harvest to 2021 will be very nice. Okay, and that's it, our Vilarnau presentation. Perhaps I hope that you like it, our Cavas and our philosophy and our presentation. And if you have some questions, or Andrew can, you know, Andrew Sinclair is here too. And if you have some questions from United States, Andrew can answer you, okay?
Great.
Katia.
Thank you, Eva. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, Andrew. And then,
Okay.
yeah, if anybody has any questions later on too, we'll be sure to put them in touch with you. So,
Okay. Okay.
okay.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eva.
Salud. Salud.
Salud.
Salud.
Bye.